American airports are choking under endless hour-long security lines, and hotels in major U.S. cities are slashing rates just to fill half their rooms. Yet across the Atlantic, something remarkable is happening.
More travelers are skipping trips to the United States as June data shows a 3.4% drop in visitor arrivals.
In Europe, the travel scene looks completely different. Walking through Venice feels less like sightseeing and more like navigating a human tide, with about 30 million tourists flooding the city every year. Summer has always been Europe's high season, especially for Americans who flock between June and September. But what is unfolding now goes far beyond the usual seasonal rush. Europe has just shattered every tourism record in history, and the reasons go much deeper than cheap flights or sunny beaches.
American tourism is changing the economy of Southern Europe, but economists think it could end badly. It seems like everyone you know is visiting Europe this summer between the Eras Tour, the Euros, and the upcoming Olympics.
Take a look at Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport on a random Thursday morning. At 6 a.m., the arrival board resembles a United Nations roll call: Bali, Bangkok, Boston, Beijing. The surprising detail is that these aren't departures, they're arrivals. Hour after hour, thousands of travelers are streaming into Europe, fueling what insiders are calling the Great European Rush of 2025. The statistics are staggering. In 2024, the continent welcomed 747 million international visitors, and in just the first 3 months of 2025, 300 million more had already landed. That is basically the entire U.S. population arriving in a single quarter. Barcelona's hotel occupancy reached 94% in August, forcing the city to transform docked cruise ships into temporary floating hotels. Meanwhile, in New York's Times Square, hotels have resorted to offering 40% discounts, and Miami Beach is plastered with desperation deals like buy 2 nights, get 3 free. The flood of people has created an entirely new kind of economy. Walk through Prague at midnight, and you'll find organized night tours catering to travelers who couldn't secure daytime spots. Restaurants in the Czech capital keep their kitchens running until 2 in the morning on weekends, and some bars serve full meals until dawn, not for late-night snacks, but to accommodate tourists whose schedules have spilled over into the night. This adaptability has become Europe's secret advantage. Policies have also played a huge role. While the U.S. tightened visa rules and stretched processing times to 6 months, Europe went the opposite direction. The European Union scrapped traditional visas altogether, replacing them with a digital authorization form that takes 3 minutes to complete and costs just €7. Compare that to America's ESTA program, which now demands biometric appointments booked 4 months in advance. For many travelers, the choice is obvious.
We're the biggest carrier that flies into the United States. We fly to over 50 cities within the United States. Our traffic, our bookings, going over the next 6 months are down. We're down about 10%. Canadians are deciding to travel within domestic Canada or potentially to Europe.
Even airports tell the story. Frankfurt launched something called Project Lightning, completely reimagining international arrivals. Gone are the long queues and checkpoints. Instead, passengers stroll through what feels like a luxury shopping center while invisible biometric systems handle all the screening. The average time from plane to taxi, 12 minutes. At JFK in New York, the same process drags to nearly 3 hours. Another major driver is social media. Platforms like TikTok and Instagram have turned European travel into the ultimate bragging right. The hashtag Eurosummer 2025 has already surpassed 1 billion views, filled with clips of rooftop terraces, hidden beaches, and vineyard tours. Slovenia went from hidden gem to hotspot virtually overnight, thanks to a viral video of underground kayaking in an abandoned mine. Within weeks, tourists were flooding in to experience it for themselves.
You're still seeing really heavy demand for those parts of the world, and I don't really see a sign of a lot of leisure travel ending. I think some of the destinations that got the most traveled, theme parks, national parks, Hawaii, they sort of got overdone. And so I think you're seeing a little bit of pullback there. But in general, leisure travelers are going crazy still, and business travels.
But the surge isn't just about leisure travel. The rise of digital nomads has fueled a whole new wave of long-term visitors. Estonia's e-residency program has surpassed 2 million participants, while Portugal's digital nomad visa applications skyrocketed nearly 850% in a single year. Even American tech workers are relocating themselves. A senior Google engineer admitted that nearly a third of their team now works remotely from European cities while still holding U.S. contracts.
And Morocco.
Immigration to the United States has become more difficult, and therefore people are turning around and seeing alternatives.
Companies are aware of it, but they remain silent because the trend benefits them too. Croatia illustrates the scale of this transformation. With only 3.8 million residents, it received 31 million tourists through August, about 8 for every local. The country managed by deploying AI-driven crowd management systems that redirect tourist flows in real time, even sending push notifications to visitors' phones suggesting alternate routes when hotspots reach capacity. While it sounds futuristic, tourists describe it as creating the feeling of spontaneous discovery rather than overcrowding. Innovation has become a cornerstone of Europe's tourism strategy. At the European Travel Commission Summit last month, ministers from 33 countries showcased bold initiatives. Estonia leaned on its digital infrastructure, while Greece offered 50% tax breaks to attract remote workers. The American delegation, by contrast, sent junior representatives with little to present. Insiders suggested the real reason. The U.S. simply had nothing competitive to showcase. While Orlando's theme parks quietly raise prices year after year to cushion falling attendance, Europe is busy creating immersive cultural experiences that book out months or even years in advance. Copenhagen is the perfect example. Its culinary scene now accounts for nearly 9% of the city's GDP, generating more than 2.3 billion euros annually.
Most of the increase in tourist inflows is actually in what we call shoulder months, just before or after the summer break.
Spain has also capitalized brilliantly on this boom. Already the second most visited country in the world after France, Spain now sees tourism generating nearly 14% of its GDP. Growth isn't limited to the traditional summer rush. The so-called shoulder months, those periods just before and after summer, are now attracting record numbers. Rural areas and the northern regions of the country, once overlooked, are thriving as visitors spread out geographically.
Tourism has also been a key pillar for growth. It has been the case for many decades, but over the past few years after the pandemic, there's been a boom in traveling, and Spain has really benefited from this. It's one of the most visited countries in the world already after France, and now tourism makes almost 14% of the GDP of the country.
People are redirecting resources. Instead of purchasing cars or purchasing clothes, they are traveling and having a good.
Infrastructure plays a massive role in sustaining this growth. Europe's Interrail Global Pass connects 33 countries with a single ticket, starting at 212 euros for 4 days of travel. Miss a train from Paris to Barcelona? Another leaves within hours. Compare that to Amtrak's Boston to DC corridor, which offers just 5 trains a day, frequent delays of 4 hours, and one-way tickets starting at $140. The difference in reliability and affordability is almost laughable. Greece, meanwhile, turned its economic scars into tourist assets. Buildings abandoned during the 2008 financial crisis have been reborn as edgy street art galleries. Former protest sites have been transformed into cultural centers, telling stories of resilience. What once symbolized a crisis is now packaged as history worth experiencing. Even Europe's winters have been reinvented. Nordic destinations have built thriving cold-season economies with glass igloos for northern lights viewing, ice hotels, and polar night festivals. Finland's Lapland kept hotel occupancy above 80% through December, historically a slow period. Compare that to Minneapolis in November, where hotels slash rates in half and still struggle to reach 50% occupancy. Perhaps the most surprising outcome of Europe's strategy has been the success of sustainability initiatives. Slovenia declared itself the world's first official green destination, while Copenhagen introduced incentives for eco-friendly behavior. Rather than deterring tourists, these policies have had the opposite effect. Visitors stay longer, spend more, and report higher satisfaction. Forcing travelers to slow down and immerse themselves has actually boosted revenue per tourist.
2025 has already been booked, so there's no much of a change of pattern. We're going to have a very good summer in terms of numbers, in terms of arrivals, in terms of expenditure. However, Q4, it's uncertain. It's very uncertain as long as we don't know how the American economy will be doing in the next 3-4 months. We will not know if American people will be able to afford travel or not. Our forecast is that it will be a drop. However, it will also depend on many other factors, as the currency exchange and connectivity between Europe and US.
And Europe is already preparing for its next frontier. Leaked documents from the European Tourism Council reveal a growing concern. The continent is literally running out of space. Draft proposals include building floating hotel cities in the Mediterranean, converting decommissioned oil rigs into luxury resorts, and transforming abandoned quarries into underground tourist complexes. 3 such projects are already under construction. The stakes are enormous. Europe now commands over half of the global tourism market, with international visitor spending reaching $573 billion. The United States, once a global leader, has slipped to 6th place behind Southeast Asia.
If we go back 10 years.
If we export, okay, that's helping.
In 2015, we had a $50 billion travel trade surplus.
Okay.
Foreign travelers spending more in the United States than Americans were spending abroad. Today, we have a $50 billion travel trade deficit.
Okay,
so we've had a $100 billion swing.
And surprisingly, even Antarctica. The contrast is hard to ignore. Europe embraced innovation, accessibility, and experience, while America clung to red tape, inflated prices, and outdated systems. For U.S. tourism officials, the most chilling statistic is that many global travelers don't even consider America a viable option anymore. And the window to catch up, it isn't just narrowing. For most destinations, it may have already closed.